Hello traders, welcome to your market update for Wednesday the 18th of February, and today we have a bit of data. The market is focused on two key pieces of data and the trading week could start to see some volatility. But let's have a look at what happened overnight. Just quickly, we had US bond rates were strong. We had a little bit of weak data out of the US, but the market wasn't fazed by that. We have totally focused on tonight's FOMC minutes and whether the Fed actually starts to indicate that there will be a rate rise this year. If we do get that indication, we will see the US dollar buyers kick back into the market. So that's a key event for the US dollar tonight. We also had some mixed data out of Europe. However, the focus of the market is still on whether there will be a deal. Right now, there is no consensus either way. However, the market did latch on to a Bloomberg article which basically said they expect a deal to be done by the end of this week. So they all jumped on that bandwagon and Euro was bidded up a little bit as well. We also had strong oil prices, and that's definitely creating a lift for the commodity currencies, with the CAD also a little bit stronger against the US. The Aussie dollar and the New Zealand were also strong overnight, and that's due to a strong dairy auction. It was better than last month. It was up 10%. So that's quite a solid trend now of better than expected dairy prices month after month, which is definitely going to support the New Zealand GDP. The Australian dollar was also supported due to less dovish minutes, and that was due to, as I mentioned yesterday, the RBA indicated that they were tossing up whether they were going to cut rates in February or March, which the market took that as, well, you're going to cut one or the other. And since they cut in February, they may not be cutting in March. So therefore, that's supporting the Australian dollar in the short term. I do believe there will be further action in the future, and it's still not ruling out a rate cut in March. It's just the market's interpretation of the wording. So we'll look more into that later on. But for now, that's the reasons behind the moves overnight. And we should have a look at see what's coming up. Definitely the market is looking at the Bank of England minutes. They're looking at this for indications of when the BOE is looking to raise rates. And we've seen some officials coming out and starting to indicate that it will be soon. Therefore, if we do see a vote for a hike move above zero, then that will be definitely very bullish for the pound. It will mean that we're starting to see the members of the BOE starting to be very hawkish for the economy and starting to consider a rate hike. And if we get one or two people starting to consider that, that'll be very bullish for the pound. Also, the minutes, everyone's going to be picking apart the wording, and we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But overall, I think we're going to see a strong pound tonight as the outcome, because there's nothing bad that they can be saying about the economy. It's just whether they expect to raise rates or not. We also have the employment conditions. They're expected to be relatively flat. I don't see anything major happening here, any huge outperformance. So I stand to be corrected, but we'll wait and see what happens there. Because the economy looks like it's going to be really good in the future, and right now all the indicators are pointing to the market's just very stable. So I don't expect the unemployment rate to drop considerably or anything to be changed in huge difference from the consensus. So I'll have to wait and see. But overall, I am bullish on the pound. I did put out a trading recommendation to buy the Great British Pound versus the US. I still stand by that trade, and we'll see how it rolls out tonight. I think the data will come out in our favour. So therefore, I'm quite confident in getting in now before the data. We have a few other little bits and pieces coming out in Europe, but nothing of great consideration. I think that the market is still hinging on the Euro deal, and we'll wait and see what happens. It may get a little bit of a boost as the market carries on from yesterday, and should we see oil prices rise, the pound get pulled up, the Euro could just continue to trade between $1.14 and $1.15. So we'll have to wait and see. Either way, it's still within the range-bound trade. We then have some other data coming out of the US, and yes, this will help paint a picture for the US economy, housing, producer price indexes and things like that. However, the market is very focused on the Fed FOMC minutes and whether we get any indication for a rate rise in 2015. If we do, it's going to be very bullish for the US dollar, and hence why I'm currently a bull for the US dollar versus the yen, and put out a trade recommendation for that last night. So they're the two trading positions that I have for the long term based on fundamentals and technicals. It's what I'm calling a fusion trade in the future. I'll talk more about that later on. But so that's what we've got coming up, and then following that we have obviously some speeches from FOMC people, and they'll be airing their opinions, and the market will latch onto that. Coming into Thursday, we have some ECB monetary policy meeting accounts. The market will be focusing on that. Initial jobless claims, continuing jobless claims, all painting the picture for the US economy with jobs and whether we will actually start to see strength. And if we do get the figures that they're expecting, it's definitely going to underpin the US dollar, because if the data is going to force the US policy to become hawkish and raise rates, they'll have no choice but to do so. And then later in the week, we finish it off relatively quiet. We do have some euro data out, and that will be important, but not unless we've got a deal done or not done. That's what the market's focused on. So euro data right now is taking a back seat. However, it will have some impact on the market in the short term. So if it comes out and outperforms expectations right here, well then we will see a little boost, but don't expect it to generate a long trend or anything like that. And once again, some pound data. I won't be available for the next 2 trading days as I'll be out of town, but as you can see here, we've got the ECB policy, so keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the jobless claims, very important for the US dollar story. And like I said, we've got to keep an eye out for the euro and what's going to happen there for a breakout. So tonight is a big night for the week, and it will set the tone for the remainder of the week. So if we do get some strong pound, well then that story should run right through into Friday, and likewise on the Fed FOMC minutes. It's worth pointing out though, if the FOMC minutes doesn't indicate a rate rise, we could see some profit taking on the US dollar, and that would fuel a pound rally. Also the Australian dollar and New Zealand, other things would be boosted, the Canadian dollar. So it's not a done deal that this is going to all of a sudden just put a fire under the US dollar and send it to the moon. So don't expect that, don't anticipate that. Keep an eye on the minutes, keep an eye on the news wire, because it will have an impact. Well, that's it today for the fundamentals and for this week. I apologise for not being here for the next 2 days. However, I will be putting out a technical video talking about the trades that we've got on and any other potential trading opportunities that I can muster up for you. And until next week, trade well, and let's be disciplined over the next few days.